Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to my series. I really wanted to talk about key fundamental steps of self improvement and actually changing your life for the better. It's a journey I've been on for, I say, the past year and a half, and I've made monumental progress. I would say I've found my wife, I found my passion, and I don't know, it all seems so surreal. I feel like I just wanted to create something that I needed, that I wish I would have found a little sooner so I could have started it quicker, enjoyed it more. But without further ado, we'll get into it. So I'm calling this my roadmap of evolution, okay? So these are basically 3 books that I've read and that I've kind of dived into within the last year and a half. And through these books, they've unlocked something inside me. They woke me up, So if we get into it, the first book I read was The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Pretty much what this book was about was realizing you have to be open to give up that power. And I feel like that's what this book gave me. It let me gain awareness of like patterns of how I'll get triggered by certain things or how to feel anger or resentment around certain people. And it also keyed me in and clued me in on the power of the present, realizing that each moment, each breath, each heartbeat, it comes and it goes. And with each new moment is the opportunity to create something wonderful. And it's the opportunity to change your life for the better forever. I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. I highlighted the books I have that you should definitely read and read, or if you can't read it, please at least get the audiobook. It's 100% worth it. If you're still too lazy to do that, I get it. I'm going to be doing a series on my channel, and I'm going to be doing read-throughs, specifically on this book, which we're going to touch on a little bit. Definitely check out The Untethered Soul. Try to understand as much as you can from that, just the power of the present moment, and understanding that there are triggers inside you, understanding that you need to let things go in order to move forward in your life. In order to actually create a life you want, you need to let go. 4 Agreements, you probably heard about this if you're into self-improvement or whatever. This is definitely just a good book just to check out. I threw it in here because just good advice to live by, like I put here. Not taking anything personal, not making assumptions, trying your best. It's simple yet so effective. I honestly wish I would have heard growing up. I feel like my life would have been drastically different, but at the same time, I can't make an assumption about that. It's kind of funny, but definitely a good read through. I definitely recommend this book. And then this right here, The Inner Work, pretty much everything. If you want to learn how to actually level up, how to actually fix your problems, this is it. I pretty much created a template going through different stages. Level 1 being the fundamentals of awareness and awakening. Level 2, identifying your problems, insecurities, patterns, etc. And level 3 is where you start to mend them and resolve them. You fix them through these things right here. And then the final level 4, is where you live, you curate. Once you go through all these steps, you end up becoming you. You end up being free. Do whatever you want with your life. You actually can start planning it and moving with intention. And that's key here, intention. Without further ado, let's go on to level 2. So, The Inner Work. This book is amazing. It pretty much labels and quantifiable measures for the things or traumas that have happened in your life and that could potentially be wrong with you, as well as triggers, traumas, consequences, thought patterns. It is honestly, if you take anything away from what I'm saying today, check this book out. Even if you get the audiobook, I highly recommend getting this book, reading through it, working on your stuff. It's phenomenal. But the way I set up the template is with breaking down the bare bones of it. I'm not really going too in depth on each of the traumas or each of like the pain points, because I'm going to be doing that on the video series and read throughs. But The way I set it up is so that you have the root program, the foundational trauma, or the thing that is causing it, right? Like that pure pain point. You have your primary emotion, which you're usually feeling if you're in this state, and then the thoughts surrounding it. It pretty much goes through these levels of reality or whatever. You don't have to be like a spiritual head to really understand this stuff. It makes enough logical, pragmatic sense that I feel like anyone could use this, even if you're not really into rocks or whatever. I feel like this is something that everyone could benefit from, but everyone might not be too keen to it, like being stuck in the body. So these things right here, rejection, judgment, overwhelm, loss, distrust, inadequacy, insecurity, violation, all are states of being where you're stuck in your body. You're not using your mind, or not even on that like level where you're experiencing love and light. You get stuck in cycles, and you'll notice certain problems in your life pop up and keep reoccurring until you address these like key foundational issues. I'll start off with rejection. Primary programming that you have inside yourself that keeps playing inside you, that keeps you from progressing, if you identify with rejection, is you being unlovable. Is yourself thinking, I won't be worthy until I get this. Or it's like, I'm not enough. I am ashamed of who I am. This is the primary emotion, shame. I say all of this comes from Black, but just in different ways. But this one, you feel unworthy. You feel like you can't get it. We move on to judgment. Your root belief is you're wrong. You have a real heavy connection to right and wrong, being righteous, to this sort of law and order identity, this sort of law and order framework. I think I was here, like, honestly. Like, I went through all of this. I'm not even at, like, the final level myself. I specifically remembered reading about judgment, feeling guilty about things. I believe it said in the book that, like, it comes up, like, repression, like, sexual repression even, like, you don't live up, you don't, like, really show yourself too much. You constantly bash yourself. You keep yourself low because you believe for some reason that that's the right thing to do, not to shine too bright. Then we have overwhelm, which the primary root programming, why try? It's like everything's too much, why even bother? You know, you're mainly going to be feeling hopeless about everything. Like, why should I do this? There's no point. If the world's going to end anyway. It mostly involves things like nihilism, like atheist, like people who are atheists tend to fall under this, I think. Oh no, I think it was distrust, but yeah. The primary thoughts you have with overwhelm is like nothing will work. You know, why even try? Then we go on to loss, where I feel like a lot of, at least where I'm seeing it, like read the book and can like identify these problems for myself. I'm seeing it in my family. Loss is really prevalent in like the older generation, like the parents, you know, they resist change. That's like the root. Why are we doing this new? Why are we doing this? It's like they don't throw away old clothes or old shoes, you know what I mean? It comes from a place of grief and regret in their life. It's really unprocessed emotion that they never could get over because they had to keep moving forward. Life does not slow down for anyone, you know. And it sucks because they made it. That's the thing I think people don't realize, is that at the end of the day, you made it. You're here, you know? So you don't always lose, which is the primary thoughts, or some of the primary thoughts that go through a person with this like particular trauma. I don't know, it kind of comes down to like a worthiness. Like all of these things, like they all relate to each other. They're different, but they all stem from the same thing, which is like fear, which is just a lack of whatever you think you need. Then we move on to distrust. Primary programming for this one is what if it goes wrong? You oftentimes feel fear. Also, the thoughts that run through are what if it doesn't work out? Adequacy. The root program is I want / I need this. The primary emotions or primary drivers for this one is desire, trying to go get something, do something. It kind of relates to rejection in a sense, at least in my opinion. Kind of like a tit for tat. I'll do this, then I'll be loved. It's kind of, I have to be financially stable. I have to be a breadwinner. I have to be strong. then I can be loved. And that's not the case. And it's kind of crazy because once I kind of went through this and healed this, that's when I kind of found like my person. And that's when life kind of gotten easier. Not easier, but I've handled it better because you realize you're not supposed to have it immediately. Everyone doesn't want you to have it immediately. Like life doesn't want you to just have it. That's the point of living, is to get it. And you could get it and be loved while you're getting it. I say that's a really important one to look at. And even if you don't feel like reading a book, please just go to ChatGPT, ask it to ask it some prompt to like go more in depth on that. But next we got insecurity. The root programming is I am superior. I say this really falls into like narcissism. It really comes from low self-esteem. You'll primarily feel pride if you're in this kind of state, and you'll constantly ask what's in it for me, or like how will I look when I do this, or will I be good? You know what I mean? It's a little more self-centered. This next is violation. The root like thought pattern for this is like I expect this. This one, it really struck me as like one of like the harsher ones, because when someone was taken advantage of, like they've been violated pretty much, and the primary emotional feel or display is anger. There'll be the hotheads, there'll be the firecrackers, and it's like, oh, you can't control me. That's the thought set. You can't control me. I can do what I want. And it really comes from a sense of being stripped of their power. It's a scary thing to tackle, and it's like not something that anyone would just openly talk about. Like I'm sure I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Unless I had like a really, really close friend, or like probably with like my partner. All right, so now we're on to level 3, which is mend and resolve. So after we go from looking at what your problems may be or where you may be at, you can be more than one of these two. That's another thing. And we can always change too. Once you fix yourself, you might come back, you might bounce back and forth. That's just a part of life. We're not always going to be good all the time. And I think that's key. That's really what the Untethered Soul really taught me. Really understanding the fact that, we're human. But yeah, so once you get past all of that, the book then goes further to help you actually fix these things. And it does this in stages as well. And these 5 stages are accountability, ease, self-motivation, self-acceptance, and understanding. I'm going to talk about it in the same format, where it's the root program, the primary emotion, and the thoughts aligned with it. So for accountability, I think one of the most important parts of being a successful adult, a good person and a human, is really being honest with yourself. That is like how you know you're really in this stage, is if you're honest with yourself and you oftentimes feel courageous. The thoughts that align with being accountable, or I will do this, I can do this, you know what I mean? I do what I have to do, I get stuff done. I do things, I have responsibilities, I can handle them. It's really, really good to have that. Really, all of these come together to create a well-rounded being, create a person capable of doing whatever they want. Next, we have ease. The primary programming for you to know you're in this one is when you're non-confrontational. You don't want to really argue. You understand that it's just whatever. It's like a state of neutrality. You really feel like neutral. You really just want to understand more, but you're gonna start from a point of 0 where you understand I have to go and see my options. There's no failure, there's no clear sign of difficulty yet. There's nothing that tells me I can't do it. Primary thoughts that go along with this are like, you can handle changes, I can handle changes, this will work out for me like it always does, etc., etc. Next, we have self-motivation. Primary programming for this one, for you to know you're here, is when you start exploring your potential. Your mind starts to broaden a little bit. You start wondering, what could I honestly do? With like, what are my skill sets, my talents, what could I do? And it's that willingness. That willingness is like going to be your main emotion. And what I like to compare this to is those nights, I'm gonna get my life together, I'm gonna change this or this, I gotta get bread, like I gotta retire my parents, I gotta do this and that. Like, that's a good thing. It's just we don't do the work to make it stay there. It just kind of comes in short bursts, and we don't have the discipline to keep it. But that's something that if you get, it changes everything. My thoughts associated with that are greatness. I am great. I can do it. I can do anything I put my mind to. Those kind of things. Acceptance. I feel like this was one of the most life-changing ones for me personally. Primary programming of I am enough. Understanding that you don't have to do anything, qualify your existence. You don't have to do anything to be worth being alive. And it also means accepting your humanity, which is the thoughts that you tend to have once you get there. And it goes along with its primary emotion of grace. And if you don't know what grace means, we're going to look this up real quick. When I think of grace, though, I tend to think about the Bible, think about Jesus dying for people's sins and offering up grace. It's just understanding that mistakes will be made, people will sin, people will kill each other, people will do this and that, but at the end of the day, that doesn't change the fact that they can still do great things, that they can still be better tomorrow. That doesn't mean that their actions won't have consequences, but that they can change. They can actually make a difference. You accept your limitations of your humanity as well as the reality around you. You accept the fact that there will be war. It's always going to exist, so long as we're human. And finally, once you get through all that, come to understanding. And with understanding, the primary way you're going to know you're here is when you want to verify information. You seek to understand everything you come across, or you start to question the things you thought you knew. You tend to feel really composed oftentimes. I really like being at this point because it's whenever you tap into that part of you that it's hungry. It's I think it's that childlike sense of wonder that people sometimes talk about. But this is where you start having those thoughts of knowledge being power, knowledge being wealth, because the more you know, one, about yourself, and two, the more you know about the reality around you, the more you can actually cultivate yourself and try to change yourself in a way to do what you want to do, is also creating a reality for other people that you want them to see. Because you have to have an understanding of what you don't know in order to go out and seek it. And it's really important, really, really, really important to understand yourself, to understand why you feel resentment towards certain people, why you may get hungry around a certain time, or why when you smell this certain smell, you feel that nostalgia. I feel like understanding yourself just helps you move with more authenticity. It helps you attract what you're meant to. It helps you live the life you're meant to. You will never be free until you free yourself from the prison of your own false thoughts. By Philip Arnold. I'm still here. I kind of bounce between 3 and 4 personally, but we'll go on to 4. So love and inner peace. Oh yeah, number 4, live and curate. My bad. Level 4. Whenever you get past you're understanding your problems, you're actually fixing them, you'll start to feel this abundance of joy, this abundance of love for not only yourself, but also the beauty of humanity and the beauty of the journey. Realizing that all it takes is for you to say, I want to be better, and for you to challenge yourself out of love. Because it's not easy. I feel personally, that's why people don't really advance themselves and don't really grow like they should. And that's why we have people in our families who are or have people who we have to make excuses for in their families. Be oh, that's just how they are. They shouldn't just be like that. They should work on themselves. They should improve. They should move out of love, especially when we all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all have responsibilities. That's my little rant. But inner peace, you also get inner peace and happiness. Because once you have that understanding of yourself and you start to understand that your thoughts aren't scary, they're not even really your thoughts, you may start to journal, which I highly recommend. Or you may start to meditate, which I also highly recommend. You understand that whenever you get silent, you have authority over yourself and you have authority over your mind. There's no thoughts to be racing or anything. They might come in and out, they might come and go, but at the end of the day, you can really plan out your life. You can really take control of what you want to focus on. Because one thing I've realized is whatever you focus on, it grows. That's why everything's trying to get your attention. If you were to really focus on yourself completely, even 3 months, 3 to 6 months, monumental change, easily. When you do that, you move with love, inner peace, happiness. You become the architect of your life, and you get to reflect what your soul wants. You get to live with intention. Internally, you know you have a dream you want to chase. You know you want to do something, and it's up to you to figure that out, or at least remember it, and it's up to you to make it happen. Everyone has to work. I got a job I don't really like going to, but you gotta do what you gotta do. But at the same time, now that I have direction, I can use that as a springboard. I can use that to really do what I want to do, to really go and live. That's all I've ever wanted, was to just live my life. And I realized that it's not bad to be attached to people like your family, but if it comes to be to detriment to you, I feel like you should take a step back. And that's what I had to realize. If you are so caught up with moving your mother out, I was so like hell-bent on making money just for the sake to give it to my parents, because I don't even care. Like, I just wanted to give it to my parents and then just leave. I just want to just get an apartment somewhere, chill, eat food, go to the gym. I just want a simple life. But I realized that, like, the power is mine. I could do what I want with my life. They had over 45 to 50 years to do what they wanted to do. And I'm not saying that helping them is wrong. I'm still going to help them, but I have to move and do what's best for me so that I can help them most efficiently. That's more of what I'm getting at. But once you do all of that, you're free. Because once you understand yourself, you're free from your traumas, and you start moving with that love, you're going to set goals. You're going to create a roadmap for your life. Kind of how I created a roadmap in this video. You'll make a roadmap for your life. Like, you can start working backwards. You'll understand that the life you want is not that far away. It's not that crazy to get. It's just you haven't really sat down, looked, and analyzed it. Like, I've always wanted to move out, be on my own, like wanted to move to Texas or something. But then when I really sat down one night, I was like, how much would it cost to go? I'm like, I can get a ticket, maybe like $150, maybe, but my student discounts, I can get it for cheaper. And then like rent down there was like $850, $750 a month. I was like, I could leave today. It's like, whenever you remove your baggage, it's like everything becomes clear. And I just wanted to make this video. I'm gonna make this series really just about freeing yourself. It's something I wish I had. I want to give it to you guys. I really just want people to live in a way they're meant to, in a way they know they're meant to, not stuck serving other people in the wrong way. All right, so this is the end of the video. All I want to say is thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Leave a comment. I want to have a discussion about this. Subscribe, please like and share, All right, peace.